So welcome to our winter wonderland again. This is nowhere near Piper Dog standards, but it's been pretty cold here, and we've had, as you can see, I've been really busy shoveling. But we've had altogether about a meter 10, 15 centimeters of snow over the last 4 or 5 days, something like that. So yeah, all the driveway is cleared. I can't really do much work at the moment. Like work that makes money. So I'm gonna go into the garage and get a few things done. So I'll catch you in there and I'll explain. Well, welcome back to the mini man shed. As you saw, it's pretty cold outside. I can't go on with much work. So I've been conscious lately. My videos are going a wee bit. I tend to waffle. So I'm going to try and make them as concise as possible. Hopefully, show you things that they'll you'll get something out of it. Maybe you haven't done something before. If you get anything out of them, great. So let's crack on, and I'll show you what I'm doing at the moment. Yeah, so the plan is that the mini man shed at the moment is not doing this car any justice. It's just in a bit of it's a big mess because the building site next door and stuff. So what I really want to do is concentrate and get this car running, braking, so that because I've got a rent a garage down the road, which I'll show you. But the plan is to get this car running and braking so I can just drive it down the road, put it in the other garage, and then I can, once the weather gets better, I can easily get all the stuff I need to out of this garage and stored down in the other one so that we can get on, do the roof, do the extension, get it all done, and get the car back up here, and get on with it. So, first things first is, see, I've got all this side of the engine all stripped off because the timing chain cover oil seal, which goes in here, was leaking, as was the gasket between the block and the timing chain cover. So all that's come off. I wish I had done it before I put the engine in, but I didn't really know because I hadn't turned the engine over in a while. So anyway, you have these surprises. So what's happening is when I got, sorry, bumping around a wee bit. Gonna focus? You're right, there we go. Right. So when I bought the car like 9-10 years ago, whatever, one of the first things that I did was I changed this to duplex chain because I could hear the chain rattling. This 1974 A series, so it doesn't have a tensioner on it. And actually, when the car was running, when I got it all running the first time round there, I couldn't hear much chatter. It was quite quiet. I didn't really pay attention to it, but it's going to be really hard for me to show you this because I can't get the phone down in there without going upside down and stuff. But anyway, if I put my finger down here, I've tensioned this side of the chain up on the cogs, and if I put my finger down on here on the chain, let's see. Do you see how much this chain moves? Now I've calculated roughly with a ruler. That's about just over a centimetre worth of travel in this chain. Now I have no idea if that's normal or not. I couldn't find a definitive amount of travel which should be in your chain. But seeing as though, I mean, it's probably only done maybe 10 or 12,000 miles on this chain. But seeing as though all of this is off, and I'm not sure, I think it's too much travel. So here's what I'm going to do. And I'll just take you up the bench here and I'll show you what I'm going to do. Well, so first of all, focus. There we go. Yeah, so all the water pump is all new. The focus. Yeah. The pulley and the cover I just gave them like a good clean up with the Sandblaster. Not the water pump, but these are cleaned out with the Sandblaster. Give them a good coat of paint. They're all ready to go back on again. And over here, so I went ahead and bought myself a duplex chain vernier setup. So this is way more adjustable. Set the timing properly. Chains underneath. So that's going to be going on. Also bought myself a Kent Cam's cam timing disc, just to make sure that I get everything timed in properly. I'll go into that another time when it all goes back on. I've got all the relevant gaskets and everything, and the oil seal. Okay, so I'll try film me putting all this back together again. Yeah. Let's get to the point. Other things in no particular order. The ignition, electronic ignition, which went in the car almost as soon as I bought it, so 9 years ago, it's been sitting in various sheds when the engine's been off the road. So I've decided that I'm just going to replace it because it could be related to my engine running issue. So I'm just going to replace that. If it doesn't make any difference, then I've got 2 sets of ignition. I can keep one as a spare. So I'm going to do that. I bought myself some, this is a windscreen washer tube and radiator overflow tube. That'll go on when everything's nice and back together again. And this, which is a 9-tooth Bendix gear for a non-pre-engaged inertia starter motor, which is on my car, 1974. So what the problem is that on mine, the starter motor just works perfectly. Like it turns perfectly. There's no, I'm happy with that. But the cog, which meshes up to the flywheel or the ring gear, is all worn. So new cog. And in the inside of this, some of you might not know with this because you have later minis. I don't know if I can get a shot of this, can I? Oh, let me go in here. Anyway, in there's a big, yeah, see it there? Big heavy spring in the middle of this. So basically this, when you turn the car over, this shoots out from the starter motor, connects with the ring gear, starts your car, and then when you take disengage your starter motor, it spirals back in, and it disengages from the ring gear. So I've been told that this is as well possible to change this. It might be a bit of a mission, but I'll try and make a video of it, and we'll see how we go on. There we go. So and the other thing I was going to show you was so I sandblasted these covers and painted them, everything, and I'm now getting to that's how much sand that I have left. And this is, I'm not going to have to, hopefully, not going to have to sandblast anything for a good while. And I don't want another bag of sand hanging around in my garage. So what I did, usually the sand is in this bucket. But what happens is you get towards the end of the bucket and it doesn't suck the sand up anymore. So I've got this sand here, and all I've got to sandblast is the subframe mounting bracket and radiator mounting bracket. And it's not even that bad, there's this corrosion on it there. This was done when the subframe was done like years ago, so now it's got a bit of rust on it. Probably wasn't done properly in the first place. What I did was I transferred the sand into this taller, thinner can. So, and I've already tried it. Hold on, I'll bring it over here. I've already tried it. See, because it's taller, this goes further down to the bottom. You get more depth of sand and go down to there. There you go. And that should be enough to finish this bracket off. And then that's it. I don't have a bag of sand hanging around in the garage that I have to move again, and end up having a hole in it and have sand all over my garage. So that's the plan. So that's an overview. I'll try and make a video of kind of different steps maybe. So hopefully that's after this. So, all sandblasted, painted with zinc aluminium protective paint. Just let that dry for a while. I'm going to take you over here, sit you down there. Yeah, you can see that, right? So I'm going to put the oil seal in the tending chain cover. I think that I can get pretty much this home just by pushing it, just going around pushing it a wee bit. So I'm just going to go ahead and do that. But I have found the thing that's quite cool. I suppose the trial and error you would find it, but I can just tell you that a 1 5/8 socket fits perfectly inside the oil ring. You just sit that on the table. Rubber mallet. Perfect. So first things first, I turned the engine so that there's a dot on the camshaft pulley and the crankshaft pulley down here, cogs. I turned the engine so that they were lined up here. It just means that when you go to put the new one back on, that's your basic lineup. And I undid the tab, took off the bolt for the camshaft, and I'm going to slide these together off, but I may have to do that off camera. Yeah, I'll have to give it a wiggle. I'll be back in a bit. Okay guys, well, welcome back. Oh, sorry about that. There's a couple of things I wanted to show you before I really start putting this thing back together again properly. So, with this vernier kit, the sprocket for the crankshaft, because it's wider, it takes a double chain. They give you some countersunk. Where did I put them? Over here. Give you some countersunk screws to replace the bolt heads, which were down here and here, which I already had because I had a duplex chain on already, but I just replaced them with the ones that they gave me. That's fine. But I wanted to show you this here. This is the middle of the vernier gear, which slides on the shaft. It's held with a woodruff key. But they don't give you any countersunk ones for here. And if you look at this, right, that's full on the shaft. And I'll just take a feeler gauge here, and I'll just feed it down the back here. We can see what I'm doing. You can feed it between the bolt and the middle of the sprocket. Well, you can't see from there. Take it from me. That is 0.3 of a millimeter of clearance between the center of the near cog and those bolts. Now, I don't know if mini spares have, I'm not happy with that. I don't want to leave a tolerance like that between a engine moving part. I know these things are not sloppy. They're not going to move around very much, but still, I'm not happy with that. And I also can't put I have other countersunk screws, but I can't put any on there because of this plate. It has, I'm not quite sure what to call it, but for these screws, I suppose it's the thread for them, but it's a kind of weird thread, and I don't want to start countersinking that plate because it's not a block, it's a plate. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take my little air grinder and I'm just going to grind a bit off on one side of the nut, being careful to leave enough on so that in the future if I need to get them off I can. I've had a spanner on them, they're not very well torqued up. I'll look at the torque setting just to make sure, but they're small bolts, they shouldn't be too tight, so as long as I leave enough hex on them I'll be able to get them off, just to give me a bit more clearance between these bolts and the actual cog. So I'll go ahead and do that, and I'll bring you back once I'm further ahead. Right, so I'm back. I ground off just maybe a half of the surface of each these three bolts, and now I've got, I'll put it back in. Now I've got at least a millimeter, probably a bit more, between them. It's quite tight, but as I said before, these parts are not going to drift around. Hopefully, if everything's running, if everything is fine, you know it's not going to move. So I'm happy with that. What I can do now is, I'm not going to be able to do it properly with one hand, but here's the sprocket that's going on, which goes on and fits onto the wee dowel on the back part of the sprocket. So let me see if we can see it. Where is it? Yeah, see there, the little dot. That little dot has to match up with the other dot on the smaller cog directly through the axis of both shafts. It's going to be really hard for me to show you, but I mean, I'm sure you all know about this anyway. The timing chart that I've got, I'm not really going to need it because this engine was set up by a friend of mine. I really trust him. Nothing's moved and everything seems to be lining up just fine. So I'm going to put the cog on, I'm going to put the chain on, which I'll show you. So there's the old lot. This new chain, which has got a link in it. Never had a chain with a link in it before, but I suppose they must have designed it like that. So we're gonna get that on, and I'll show you when I finish. So it's on. Happy with that. I haven't put the bolts or anything, or the oil thrower or anything on it yet. Just wanted to show you. I didn't move the engine at all in the process of doing this. I just lined up the woodruff keys with cogs and everything, and I think I can show you, if I stick my hand down here, I'll go in under wheel arch and see if we can get through there. Yeah, right. So here, so there's I don't know if you can see that, there's a tiny wee dot there and a tiny wee dot there, and the cogs are all on, they're locked in position. They're exactly lined up perpendicular in a straight line between the axis of this shaft here and this shaft over here. So if you draw a line straight through here, those spots must line up, which they do. I'm happy with that. And also what I did was I put the chain on. I forgot to do it while you weren't here. But what you're meant to do is get a rule. Hold on. There we go. Down there like that. Yeah. So you get a rule and you sit it across the cogs without the chain on. And that should tell you if the cogs are level, running straight, because you can change the. Well, I'll get this out of here. You can change the shims for one or both of the cogs. I can't remember. I've never had to do it because the last chain that I had all lined up fine, and does this one. So yeah, that's all on, looking good. And check it out. I knew I was right. Hold on, I'll take my other hand. Down here, look. See, there's hardly any. Well, I mean, there's a good bit of play. It's not locked up, but that's what a new chain should be like. You know, the other one had over a centimeter of play, so I've done the right thing. And I'm no expert, but I reckon that could be contributing to bad timing. You know, the engine kind of spluttering around because timing was obviously changing. If this belt is slack, this chain is slack, so
hopefully it'll run smoothly when it goes back together again. So I'll bring you back once I've done a wee bit more.
Hello, welcome back. It's the next day. I just thought I'd show you before I put this cover back together again how I do it. So not in any particular order. I've seen actually Cole over the pond there, Classic Mini DIY. He's putting these gaskets on. He smears both sides with some sort of sealant. I don't know what kind of sealant that is. That's what I've got, instant gasket. I have used that in the past, but I actually looked. This is not a normal gasket. I don't know if you can see that. It's called a Clingersill gasket. I was told by a friend of mine that these are really good, and I wasn't sure if you used sealant on the gasket as well as the gasket. So I went on their website, and right enough, these do not say to put any sealant on the gasket. The gasket is enough. So that goes on dry, but obviously the two mating surfaces, this one and the engine block, need to be perfectly clean. And I would say, kind of roughed up a wee bit, either with a wire brush, or sandpaper, or wire wool, or whatever you use. But if you can see close, if you can see that, will that focus? No, it's not focusing very. Anyway, there's a line here where I passed a wee bit of sandpaper over it. There's a wee line there, and that line should be where the gasket seals. If you've got a clean surfaces with no sealant, this should be enough to seal the oil in. It's also a lot cleaner. Hardware, I'm just reusing all the old hardware, cleaned all the bolts up, wire brushed them, cleaned them all up because there's nothing wrong with them. At some point I might put stainless steel ones in it, but for the moment that'll do fine. I replaced all the spring washers with new ones. They're all looking good. So actually once they're on, everything's together, I might give them a wee scoosh of paint, black paint, just to, because they're not stainless steel, so the cover's not gonna rust. But these are with time, because they're not stainless steel, so I'll maybe just give them a wee scoosh of black paint, just cover them over, because I ain't planning on taking this back off for a while, at least. So, and what I also do is just get a tiny wee bit of just general purpose grease and just wipe it around the inside there, so that it just makes it, when you're sliding this over, there's less chance of the seal getting damaged if you're a bit of a brute, like I am. So we'll catch you once it's on.
Well, there we go. Cover all on, torque down, pulley on, torque down, and the little tab folded over. Give it a little paint up. Just cover the nut, the bolt heads that I was talking about. Yeah, if I had stainless steel, I would have put them in, but I don't. So that'll do for now. Just need to move on because August is approaching and this needs to get dealt with. So next, let the paint dry a wee bit, and then I'm going to clean up the surfaces for the water pump, thermostat, all that, radiator, all that kind of stuff. So that'll be going on next. I'll see you in a bit. Right, so water pump on, pulley on, fan on, engine support on, which is a pain in the ass. So the easiest way I found of doing it is actually attaching these big long bolts first, jacking it up, putting the long bolts on, getting them in, and then you lower the engine down, and you can get sort of a punch or whatever in the hole, and just move it around until you get it centralized, and then slide the bolts through. That's the way I found to do it. So there we go. And another tip, we've all done it. If you left it, made a cup of tea and then not drank it, it goes cold. Well, this is my idea. You just put it in front of your space heater, heat the mug up till you can't touch it, leave it for a minute, hot tea again, reheat, cool. Yeah, I'm going to tidy up now, back onto it tomorrow hopefully, so hopefully catch you tomorrow. Bye. So welcome back. Hope you can hear me over the rain. That's the thing about tin roofs, you can hear it pretty bad. So yeah, as you can see, everything back together again, looking all right. What I still don't understand is this bracket which I bought, top bracket for the radiator. It's too short because if you, I don't know if I've shown you before, there's a bigger gap. Gap opens up as it comes up here. That's not normal. I've not trimmed the top hose properly because I'm hoping that I get a proper size bracket because yeah, something I have to look at. But anyway, let's get on with it. I've replaced the electronic ignition in here, and now I'm tackling the starter motor, which I have on the bench here. So as I told you before, I'm going to be replacing the sprocket on the starter motor with the wee big spring on the inside. That goes on like so. Oh, sorry. That goes on like that. Right, so in order to get this off, it says in the manual, in the Haynes Book of Lies, that you need a special tool for this. You don't. I've got plug welding grips here, and if you position them correctly, it is just on the limit. But you can just see here, see a little split pin circlip there, sort of ring if you like, because it's not clip. But anyway, that's what's holding it in. So basically, you have to really squeeze it with these, squeeze the spring down, pull the clip out, and then everything should come off. So I'm gonna do that off camera because I need all three of my hands, and I'll be back in a minute. Okay, so there you go. Stripped off the shaft. Shaft's in good condition. I'll give that clean up. There's the spring which remains clamped. So if you're careful, you can just leave it clamped and then put the new one back on, and you don't have to re-clamp it and everything. Just leave it like that. There's the helix assembly. There we go. We can just replace that, and there's the wee circlip that's held in this little groove at the top. So if you've got a non-pre-engaged starter motor, that's the way to do it. Let's get it rebuilt. There we go. Job done. Piece of cake. No bother. Well, apart from this little the little clip at the top was a bit of a pain, but it's well doable. It's not a hard job. Like, and that's the tools that I used. Okay, so let's fling it in. See if we can get this car turned over in the not too distant future. Hello, so next day, and I'm really bummed out, man. All of that did nothing. It's just still running the way it was before. And to be perfectly honest, I'm kind of running out of ideas here. So this is a kind of call out to everyone out there who has got vastly more superior knowledge to myself. So I'm going to go through what it's doing, what I've changed and everything, and if anybody's got any ideas out there, I would love to hear them because it's really pissing me off now. So I think it's a firing problem. It seems to be backfiring a bit. I'm sure it's some sort of ignition problem, but anyway, for the ignition, the coil's new, the leads are new, spark plugs are new. Yeah, ignition electronic ignition module is new. All that's new. The timing distributor hasn't been moved since the engine was running last time, so it can't be that far out. Even if it was before, it can't be that far out in timing the distributor setting. So I can't see why it's not doing it. It's possible it's a fueling problem, but I don't think so. But so I've got all clean lines, new filter, new mechanical fuel pump. The distributor settings haven't been changed since the car ran years ago, so you know it might be a little bit out, but it can't be that far out. It's definitely not causing the problem. The only thing I have changed on the carburetor is it's got a new jet, but I haven't changed the needle, so that shouldn't change things either. So what I'll do is I'll start the car up quickly, let you have a listen, and if anybody out there has got any ideas on what is causing this problem, I say it's a problem when I started the car up.
when I first put the engine in, it was running sweet, and then all of a sudden, it's not. And it didn't correspond with any part that I changed. I don't think it's just one day I came out and it's not running as it was. So I'll turn the camera around and let you have a look. And that'll probably be the end of the video. So let me know. Thanks to all my new subscribers. Unfortunately, didn't write down a list of you guys. I wanted to shout you out, everybody that subscribed, but I've got quite a lot in the last month or two. So thanks to everyone that's subscribed to my channel. I hope I don't waffle on too much. So I'll turn you around and have a look and put in the comments below if you've got any ideas. Thank you very much. Catch you later. Okay, so I've still got half choke on. It's still a bit cold. Let's start it up and you can have a listen. So it's all popping and banging sometimes. So if anyone's got any ideas, give me a shout. Thank you.